Well, how you doing, bud?
Hey, from the outside, the NFL coaching profession kind of seems like sometimes a competition to out genius the next guy, to think of the brand new thing, and that going with something simple and obvious and making it work might be an underrated skill. But it seems like it's one, especially yesterday, calling all those run plays in a row. It seems like it's something that you do well. How fair are both of those assessments in your opinion?
Like I don't think you're ever trying to out genius. I got let go of my last job when you try to think like that, right? You're just trying to figure out what your players do well and just, if it's working, just keep that rolling. And the guys did a great job, blocking up front that, made my life a little easier last night. And so I think you try to find the weaknesses in the defense, but you don't just try to find the weaknesses. You just try to find the weaknesses that match up with your strengths. And I felt like that was something that, we were able to find a way yesterday.
Is being willing to go with maybe the simple obvious or maybe the way you say it, what's working, something that you wanted to make an emphasis of doing better in your next job?
Yeah, I think I told myself I'll always make it about the players. Not saying I tried to be a genius the last one, but sometimes I think you try to overthink it and you try to feel like you gotta put this person in this position, you gotta put this person in this position. Sometimes you just have to trust your guys, give them the ownership and let them deliver. And I've been very fortunate, just the guys have been around right here and just that they're just having a lot of fun and having a lot of energy. And, it's exciting to watch from the booth. That's for sure.
Sean just talked about the energy as being a big part of what you've done differently or maybe, brought to this team in terms of your new role as the coordinator here. How much of that has been an emphasis? And I know we talked about it a little bit, but in terms of keeping it up week to week to week, it's probably easy to have energy week one, but when you're doing it over and over, to be able to keep that going, how difficult has that been?
I mean, it's not difficult because it's kind of who I am and it's kind of who we are. I think on a week to week, if you're having to change who you are off of a win or a loss or just on a day to day, then I think that's when people will question you. And so I try to pride myself on being the same person every single day. And I think we have a lot of guys in the building that are the same way. And so no matter who we're facing, no matter what happened on the outcome, if we believe in our process and we believe in who we are with our energy, that we're going to be the same day to day.
Appreciate the time, Joe. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Coach Brady, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. Good win yesterday, Coach.
Thank you.
Now, how do you deal with, we already know that you got some sort of game plan going into the game, an idea, right? But you found success by running the ball. Not sure if that was quite the game plan, but how do you incorporate your original game plan with what's going on in game?
Well, like I'm probably a broken record when I say this, but there's a way to win every game, and the other coaches get paid too, right? And so we think we have an idea going into the game about, hey, how we think this is how they might play it, or this is how we think our guys are going to respond to something, and then sometimes we get that, sometimes we don't, and it's it's critical that we find that whatever that is that is working, or try to continue to try to find whatever that is if it's not. And so, I think last night was just a product of, I don't think anybody envisioned being able to have that much success. I'm not going to sit here and say I knew that going into the game, but I felt confident in the guys up front. I felt confident that we'd be able to run the football, and, it wasn't broken. So why try to fix it? And, I was proud of the way that the guys responded and kind of how they played. And, they didn't blink. They were like, do it again. And just seeing our receivers and our tight ends, even Josh, just the way that they were playing, knowing that the pass game wasn't the emphasis. It was a lot of fun to see.
Absolutely, Coach. And how has Mike Shula been instrumental with, you being the play caller?
Schulz is awesome. I mean, he brings a load of experience, so he's great for me, does a great job with ideas and just, keeping me kind of present. Sometimes, you can get overwhelmed a little bit early in the week. You try to figure out, trying to figure out the defense, and he does a great job of just kind of keeping me level-headed, and brings so as much help as me as it is for the quarterbacks. And so I'm grateful for him to be here.
Coach, you've been 4 games in at the helm. This team has struggled with a rhythm. This team has struggled with identity. What would you say would be this offensive identity the last 4 games?
Honestly, I think part of the identity is that we're finding different ways to win. And I know that's not even really an answer, but I think that's important. We're trying to build to something bigger. And, is the more that we can do, the different ways that we can find ways to win. At the end of the day, we're just trying to find that way. And if we've showed if we have to throw the ball 50 times, putting everything on Josh, we've shown that we can find a way to get that done. And yesterday was evident that we can do the complete opposite. And so just having faith that we know that it's going to be different week to week, as long as we find that way. I know that's not an identity. That might be a lot of just words, but I think our guys believe that whatever happens, no matter what happens, just find a way to score one more point than them. I hope that ends up being our identity.
Absolutely, Coach. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the holidays.
Thanks. Thank you, too.
Yeah, hey, Coach. James Cook doing things that we haven't seen from a Bills running back since Thurman Thomas. What have you seen from him throughout the course of this season that's allowed him to take such a significant step in an increased role this season?
I mean, I think he's just, you can see the confidence that he's playing with. And just like any running back, you get some touches. You kind of see it a little more, and the game kind of slows down for you, right? He's a second-year player, and with experience comes just the confidence and seeing the holes, seeing the cuts, getting a feel of how defenses are trying to play. And I think he's doing a great job as the season's going on of getting comfortable in there. And the O-line's doing an absolutely amazing job of opening up the holes where makes life a little easier for the running back to get 4 yards before he's getting touched and whatnot. But Jimbo's doing a great job, and I'm loving being able to get him going in the pass game as well. He's making a lot of plays.
And Mookie mentioned the game plan. Cook finished with a career high in touches. Was there an idea leading into the game that you might see that as the game wore on, or is that more of a product of just how the game played out?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said, hey, the second half, my intent was to throw 4 or 5 passes. But it was kind of how the flow of the game was going in the way that he was running the football. And, look, Ty did a great job in there. And, I always feel confident when Latavius is in there. But Jimbo was doing, as long as he was out on the field, good things were happening yesterday. And it might not be that way every week, but, the way that he was running the rock, it was hard to take it out of his hands.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, Joe, John Worrell, AP.
How you doing, John?
I'm fascinated by this whole aspect of being out geniused or out geniusing yourself, because when it comes to failure, no one likes to admit to failure. But Sean McDermott has always said one of the most valuable things that have happened to him was him getting fired in Philly. In retrospect, how much of a turning point was and what I mean, I guess, what did you get out of what happened, as difficult as it was in Carolina?
I mean, I can go on and on. Look, I think the basics was I wasn't going to make excuses for why it didn't work out, right? I was going to figure out, okay, hey, where were my blind spots? What can I do better if I get the next opportunity? And part of that happened to be just being able to come here and being part of this organization and, sit in the QB room and just learning a new offense. And so a lot of that was just understanding the relationships of the players and getting around the guys. And I think as coaches, sometimes we try to get the perfect play, and we realize that, oftentimes it's really hard to get guys open in this league, right? Sometimes your guys have to make plays. And so just realizing that I can trust our guys, that they're going to deliver and give them that ownership. And I think the genius lies in the players. It's definitely not the coach.
Because some people don't learn from failure, and some, there's a stubbornness there. How did you allow yourself to become open to other thoughts, other ideas?
I think that's growth, right? Like, no matter what, if you're a coordinator for 20 years, you got to be growing your offense and, developing. And if you try to do the same offense you do, your guys are going to figure that out. And so I think that's just part of growth, regardless of having success or not. You got to find ways to just kind of evolve, because everybody else is trying to. When offenses are having success, people are studying you. When defenses are having success, you're studying the defenses. And so, hey, how can you evolve so that you kind of stay ahead of the race? And so I think all coaches just trying to develop.
And just lastly, in that sense, I mean, the success that you had running the ball yesterday and over the past couple of weeks, how much do you think that really opens up the offense to be able to do multiple things and keep defenses off balance? How much do you think that opens up the offense to more things?
I mean, it's as much as you can play two-dimensional football, it makes life a lot easier. I'm just in general, right? You're a defense. You want to know that you can get in 3-point stance and just rush after the quarterback because they're passing it, or like in a 2-minute third down situation, right? And so as much as we can stay ahead of the chains and be two-dimensional, where we can run it or pass it, I think is only an advantage for us. And so, we have the best offensive line coach in the league, and does such a great job at the run game and getting those guys to understand how we're attacking blocks, how we're approaching blocks, and why we're doing what we're doing. And so yesterday was just evident of that. And as much as we can stay on schedule, which we were able to do yesterday, allows us to just continue calling it.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Hey, Joe, your offensive line goes from Micah Parsons to Khalil Mack. Why do you feel confident heading into this matchup, knowing that they did a great job against Micah Parsons last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think, every week, every week in the NFL, right, the D line is absolutely stacked. And, there's always people that are going to be able to present issues. But I just think it's the mindset and the approach of our guys, that they do a great job preparing and understanding, hey, how to approach the blocks like I just talked about, or, in the case of Micah yesterday, about how much he moved around. And a guy like Khalil Mack, when you got 15 sacks, you have to understand where he is at any given time and making sure you're trying to get 4 hands on him or whatever you have to do. And so I think the way that our guys prepare and they understand, kind of their issues and, the threats that come with it, I think that they'll be able to have success with it.
And then knowing what James Cook and the offensive line did last night, what they're capable of, what is the challenge for the group as you guys close out the regular season and then hopefully make a push into the playoffs too?
I think the biggest thing is that, yesterday was a win, but it has nothing to do with today and has nothing to do with this game on Saturday, right? And so, regardless of the success we had in the run game yesterday, we're going to have to bring it in and have that same approach when we come in the building tomorrow, and know that we're going on the road. And records don't matter this time of the year. Stats don't matter this time of the year. It's the NFL, and we're going to have to bring our A game to be able to win this game on Saturday. And so I think that that's the biggest thing, moving forward with it.
Thanks, Joe.
Hey, Joe, I hope you're well. I think it's been touched on a little bit, but when you prepare all week and you go into a game or even go into a series having an idea what you want to do, how difficult is it to kind of adjust on the fly and, if something's working, just kind of stick with it and kind of go away from whatever you had planned?
Look, I think when it's working, it's a lot easier to stick with it. But I think a lot of it also has to do with the trust in your coaches and the communication with your players and the coaches. Like the guys did a great job on the sidelines yesterday of like, hey, the guys are liking this, or hey, man, stick with this. So it's not just a one-man operation, right? Like, we're very collaborative of, an offensive staff and the players. Like, I want them on the sidelines. Like, I want them talking about what they want. And so it makes it a lot easier to call the plays when I know the guys want it or when coaches are recommending it.
When you have all kinds of information at your fingertips, and you're kind of trying to play a chess game, how difficult is it at times to kind of just keep it simple instead of, maybe I'm going to call this because I think they're going to do this, or if I call this, they're going to try and counter it, so I should call something else. Like, how difficult is it sometimes to just kind of keep things simple?
Look, I think when you have Josh Allen, sometimes you can just let him kind of be great and not try to make it too complicated, right? And just in general with the rest of our guys, like I think sometimes just lining up and being able to, put the ball down and let our guys go win in one-on-one matchups makes actually life a lot easier for the guys than trying to, move guys around, motion this, shift this, and hope to get this look. And, the odds of getting that is sometimes slim. And so sometimes it's just line up and let our guys go win. And, yesterday the guys were able to do that.
Shortly after you took over as offensive coordinator, you talked about kind of doing everything with a purpose. How much does that go into getting your running backs involved in the passing game as more than just a check down or an outlet if the first or second reads aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's critical. At the end of the day, we have 5 offensive linemen, right? And they're the only ones that aren't eligible. And if they have to defend 6 guys on any given snap, Josh included, I think it makes it a little difficult on defenses, right? Our job as offensive coordinators to limit a defensive players call sheet, right? And the more that, we get guys out on, throwing the ball to the running backs, throwing the ball to the tight ends. Yeah, that it's hard to get everybody to football, and that's the reality of it. But as much as we're spreading it out, and doing those things, it makes it a little tougher on the defense. And so that's just we've been fortunate the running backs have been able to cash in on the opportunities, and hope that they can do that moving forward.
And then just lastly, how much has that thinking led to Ty Johnson's increased playing time?
Yeah, I think just in general, I mean, playing time is earned, and Ty's done a great job of showing that hey, he needs to be out on the football field, and it's the work that he put in since he's been here. He got in here late in training camp, and we saw him for one preseason game, and just seeing how he approached practice when he was on the practice squad, and nothing goes unnoticed in his work ethic and his preparation, and it's led to success. And so that's what I've been so excited about, that running back room, just the way that they kind of approach things and prepare. And that's why I guess days like yesterday, make it exciting to see kind of their work kind of show.
Thanks.
Hey, Joe. I was curious, obviously you've been asked a lot about the run, but I was curious yesterday during the game, was there a moment when you were like, oh yeah, like we can keep going with this, like they're not stopping like this? Was it like a play or a drive when you realized like we're going to be able to run the ball pretty much as we would like to?
I mean, I think there was never like a moment where I was just like, oh man, we're good to go. I mean, at the end of the day, all it takes is one negative run and you're behind the chains and you're having to, kind of get back into it and stay out of third down. But yesterday was just a product of the confidence in the offensive line, and the mentality that they were kind of playing with, and the way that they were finishing. Seeing Deion Dawkins finish a block, downfield as far as he did, and just seeing the way that the energy that they were after scoring touchdowns, it was like, hey, that made it a lot easier. Not as opposed to like, hey, I can just call this and guarantee it's going to work. It was just seeing the way that they were playing, made it a lot easier just calling those.
And I know obviously on a different subject, Josh didn't throw a lot of passes last night, but he did set a record for passing and rushing touchdowns in the games in a season. And I was curious what you've kind of seen from him in these 4 games since you took over as OC. Have you seen anything different in Josh? Is your relationship with him kind of the same? Like, I was just curious what these last 4 games, like working with Josh in this new role, have kind of been like.
I mean, I've loved it. It's been it's a lot of fun being able to call plays with him as your quarterback, right? And knowing that, hey, he's an eraser, right? Like there's plays out there yesterday that weren't good plays, right? And Josh Allen makes it right. And so there's a lot of confidence in that, and knowing that, hey, our quarterback can really do anything, and seeing how he is even when we're not throwing the football, like all he cares about is winning. And I have that same mindset, and our guys have the same mindset, and so we've had a lot of fun with it. I'm enjoying, just seeing him, just the way he's playing. He's scoring in the run game, pass game. It really doesn't matter. And I know he's having a lot of joy playing ball right now.
Last thing from me, I was just curious, when you, after games now with Josh, like when you guys sit down and discuss, the plays that were called and stuff, what kind of is that process like? Is a lot of like, I like this, I didn't like this, like just how does that work in general?
Yeah, I mean, I just think in general, and a lot of it was fortunate, right? Being the QB coach, and just the open dialogue, having a good feel of, kind of what he likes and what he doesn't. And at the end of the day, if there's something Josh Allen doesn't like, or a throw that he might not think that plays very good, take it out, right? And at the end of the day, he's pulling the trigger. So, we have a lot of dialogue early in the week about, hey, plays, hey, would you rather this or this? And because at the end of the day, those guys got to go out there and actually throw the ball and deliver. So, we come in after a game and kind of just kind of go through it and kind of give thoughts on, hey, if we play these guys again, if we do this again, what would you do differently? But throughout the week, it's just open communication. So on game day, he kind of knows what I'm thinking, and I kind of know what he's thinking.
Cool. Thanks, Joe.
Hey, Joe, to follow up on Josh, he joked after the game that he felt like it was a group project where he did nothing and still got an A, which I think takes away a little bit from what he actually did in the game. But just, when he has a game that he kind of, when he has a game like that, do you guys have any different communication within the game of like you reminding him anything of just like, he obviously wants to win, but it's such an unusual game for him? Does the conversation change at all?
No, I think you watch him, when you watch, one of the perks of being in the box is you get to see everybody, you get to see the sidelines, see kind of the communication with it, right? Being observant of that, but just, I know that Josh wants to win. And then when I see some handoffs, and as soon as he hands the ball off, he's carrying on his fake, and then the ball cuts back and he's going to find a block. that's when I'm like, you know what, I don't have to worry about anything right now. Like he's as bought into the run game as possible, right? And so there was times where we had a long drive and we only asked him to throw twice. We got on the headset and he was like, man, just keep calling it. So he's entirely bought in, and I think so are the guys into him. And he knows that the way that he plays, right, everybody's going to kind of follow him. And so just seeing the way that he was working yesterday when it wasn't just a pass game, I think was cool to see.
Awesome. And then I was wondering, your vantage point of Steph's one-handed catch on 3rd down, I think it was, and then like replays of it as well, just kind of what it was like watching that live and afterwards as well.
Yeah, so obviously great play call, right? You got a guy coming right off the edge free, Josh Allen go make a guy miss, and Steph Diggs go just make a one-handed catch exactly like we had it designed. But no, I mean that's who Steph Diggs is, right? He makes incredible plays. It doesn't matter whether it's raining, game on the line, find your best player. And regardless of what the score is, Josh scrambles around, he steps full speed, and he throws up and goes and makes a play, on the field that, it's hard to really tell if he catches it. I'm thankful for the whole crowd going crazy that that was really the only way I knew that he caught it. But that's who Steph Diggs is, unbelievable football player.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Here we go. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Coach Brady. George Radney, Challenger Community News. How you doing this afternoon?
Well, how you doing, bud?
Question, what is it, the energy that you bring? Because most of the guys that come on from James Cook and some of the offensive linemen, and especially Deion Dawkins in the offensive line, they say you bring a lot of energy to the room and with the guys. And I'm just wondering, where does that come from? Where's that energy that you have come from for the offense to bring that to the offensive room?
Yeah, look, I have a passion for this. Like I don't coach just because I feel like I have to do it. Like I love doing this. And so I don't love just sitting in my office and just being able to just watch tape all day and try to game plan. Like I love being around the guys and communicating with the guys and being out on the practice field and installing. Like I love that. And so it's not don't get me wrong, there's some caffeine involved, but there's not it's not a fake energy. Like I love it. And I think that's important. And whether it's a fake it till you make it type of mindset, it's not. It's go out there and I think if they see the passion that I have and the love that I have for this game and doing what I'm doing, maybe that they'll kind of mimic that.
And how important is it to you to have a line that's been together for the season? That, knock on wood, the guys they played every down together. How important is that to have the continuity with the offensive line?
It's huge. It's huge. Run game and pass game where Josh knows. Unfortunately, we have guys that are behind those guys, David Everett and Bates, and guys that we feel full confidence that they have to go in there, they're going to be able to have success. But knowing how the pocket's going to be, knowing with those guys communicating if they're in any double teams or combination blocks of playing with the same guy over and over. I mean, it is huge, and I know it's rare in this league, and I'm grateful that we've had the same 5 guys this year, and I hope to keep that going forward.
All right, and one last question for you. And what is the athleticism of your line too? Between Morris being able to move, Deion Dawkins being able to pull, and you having the guys do a lot of creative blocking now that I've seen that I hadn't seen in quite a while with the Bills' offensive line.
Yeah, look, I think it's we always talk from a pass game standpoint is, hey, how can you put your players in position to have success and get this person running this route, but it's really no different from a run game standpoint in approaching blocks and how guys can block. And that's what Coach Cromer does such a great job of, just utilizing what the skill sets of his offensive linemen and knowing, and then of knowing what they do well and how to put those guys in those positions based upon how we can set a front or some other characteristics. And then Brandon Bean just putting together those guys where this is the type of offensive line was built for this time of year, right? And so being able to rely on them and them just kind of taking it and kind of running with it was, I think is important. It was fun to see.